Sakariki Wanogel, buenos dias. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for watching us. We're live streaming and talking about youth and sustainable development goals. So today we're presenting amazing young activists, each one of them part of different regions and different works to make this world better. So we're going to start presenting myself. I am Andrea Ixchiu. I am a Maya Quiche indigenous from Guatemala. I am in representation of the Latin American Council for Communication and Cinema of the Indigenous Communities, CLACPI, and I am here to host this space to ask questions and especially to learn about the struggles of the youth inside the United Nations. So we're going to start with Qivioq. Hello, introduce yourself and tell us about your job.
All right, thank you. Masuma hayatawi naya Qivioq Conde satawa ukamaru naya ayu timusi yuritansa. Hello, thank you for the kind invitation and kind introduction. My name is Qivioq Conde. I am Aymara from Bolivia. I'm currently the co-chair of the Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. The Global Indigenous Youth Caucus is a global platform in which we met with the 7 regions, the youth of the 7 regions of the indigenous peoples. The main objective of the Global Caucus is to promote the participation of indigenous youth, their voice, in international fora. And the caucus was born in the framework, in the margin of the UN Permanent Forum. Since the first session, indigenous youth gathered together to echo their voice, to meet together, but it was since 2008 when the caucus was officially recognized by the UN Permanent Forum, and since then we have been hosting a preparatory meeting before the session, one day before the session, in which the morning of the Sunday before the session we prepare ourselves, we have a kind of capacity building, we review what is the mandate, what is the agenda for the session, and in the afternoon we have a substantive discussion, what is our position, what is our contributions to the Permanent Forum as such. Lately we have been expanding our work to the 3 mechanisms that has direct mandate of indigenous issues in the UN. For instance, we celebrate meetings with the UN Special Rapporteur on the rights of indigenous people, Ms. Vicky Tauli. What we do is we use the platform, the caucus, to meet with her and provide direct information about specific cases in a country. Then when she visits the countries, we organize the youth in the country so they could meet with the special rapporteur. We also have been expanding our participations in the MRIP session, the expert mechanism on the rights of people. Last time we were able to host an afternoon caucus, and then we also draft our statement of recommendations in the MRIP session. I'm also part of the Red de Jóvenes Indígenas de Latinoamérica, which is a regional network, and the specific focus on of our network, of the La Red, has been one in health and one in agriculture, and also participation. In health, because in the region we realized that one of the most difficult issue for the region is that we don't have access to sexual education from an intercultural perspective. It's very interesting to know in the numbers that non-indigenous and indigenous, they begin their sexual life at the early stage, but the non-indigenous, they wait to have a first kid, but in the indigenous side, this is not happening. Actually, we have more motherhood pretty early, and this is something that is affected, particularly the youth and women. Well, we are here at the Permanent Forum. We do our best to draft our statement. We do our best to get all the regions together in the same pace, and we want to contribute globally to the Permanent Forum in forms of recommendations at the end of the session. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. It is really awesome to know that there's a global network, and I want to know a bit more, but I'm going to come up to you after we talk to Nivi. Tell us, where are you from? What you're doing here?
My name is Qivioq Nivi Løvstrøm, and I am a representative from Arctic, specifically Greenland, and I'm an Inuit, so Inuit. And we have been having meetings about how Arctic youth should participate when it comes to the SDGs, and we have a really vast region, and where we have both Inuits and Sami, so we have been communicating a lot when it comes to that, because we have very different needs. Particularly, we have tundra and subarctic regions. We have a very, very big regions and very different things that we need to address. So it has been a very interesting time.
And about your work, the organization, the communities you are representing here, what is your job there?
Well, mostly we make sure we as focal points facilitate it, so that the information that we need to get from our communities go via us to the Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. So we make sure that the voices of our people are heard internationally, and we also try to make sure that they understand it, because sometimes the UN language is on a very different level and it's very difficult to understand. So we kind of translate it, if you can put it that way, into like the everyday language of our native language, and try to make it understandable and accessible, so that people can understand their rights and how they can exercise them.
And what would you say that are the biggest challenges that the youth is facing in your community?
Well, there are, in my specific community, it's the fact that it has become a taboo to think of yourself as indigenous. People have been so indoctrinated by our education system that whenever we introduce ourselves as a modern people, and it's because we have been indoctrinated into thinking that indigenousness and modernity, like to be a modern people, are two completely different things, even though they're not. And that's a big issue, that people don't recognize themselves as indigenous in our country. But I know that from the Arctic region, we have a lot of different issues as well, especially when it comes to food insecurity. We have a lot of that, mostly due to climate change. And we have been some of the first people who have wanted to do something about this climate change for the last many years, many decades, and it's finally now that people have realized, and I really do hope that people will fight more to prevent further damages by climate change.
Those are really huge issues that all of us in our communities are facing and challenging. So Victor, tell us, what about your job? What are you doing? Where are you from?
Avu is a greeting in my language. I'm Victor Lopez-Carmen. I'm from the United States, North America. My tribe is Yaqui. So I grew up on the Pasco Yaqui Reservation in Tucson, Arizona. But on my father's side, I'm a member of the Crow Creek Sioux tribe in South Dakota. And I'm the North American focal point, one of them. We have 3 for our region. And I'm also, my organization is International Indian Treaty Council, and so I'm a member of that organization, but some of the work that I've been doing is I've been participating in the Youth Caucus for 4 or 5 years, and I'm the coordinator one of the coordinators for North America. We had our first regional meeting yesterday, and we had more North American youth than we've ever seen before, which was really, really fantastic. And this is an amazing time for the Youth Caucus as well, because we've also, as a Youth Caucus, had more youth than we've ever had before. And I think it's important to note that this is also, as Qivioq said, we were recognized in 2008. And so this would mark the 10th anniversary of the Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. And that's really important. So as we're growing, we have a lot of work to be done, and in terms of the work I've been doing with my organization, I've been participating at the CSM, Civil Society Mechanism for Youth. There's the 11 groups within that, and I was one of the 2 indigenous youth that were invited to determine what were the major youth issues around the world, not just with indigenous youth, but the youth represented there were small-scale farmers, fisher folk. We had urban youth, and the 3 issues that we determined at that meeting in Rome were that the youth around the world were facing urban migration. And I noted that this is something that's an issue for indigenous youth, because as the world is modernized, becoming more modern, our communities can sometimes be left behind, and sometimes it's difficult for us to find opportunities in our home, even though we want to stay there. There can be issues in terms of poverty, and you want to help your family and send money back home and things like this, and how are you supposed to help them? Well, you have to go to the cities and stuff like that. So I think it's a very important issue that we develop on our own terms in our own communities, and this is a problem for youth around the world, but especially for Indigenous youth in my community. We have many youth leaving. I'd say over 50% leaving the community, and you have to think, what's that going to do generations forward to the community? Where will their kids will grow up, maybe in the cities, not in community, and it's something that my community we're thinking about, and one of the ways that I've been contributing to keeping youth in our community is I've been helping to develop clinics in our community, so that, well, one, it's difficult for people to attain health care in our communities. You have to travel hours to find something. When I was young, I got hit by a firework on my leg, and I got burned really bad. I had to travel 6 hours to find a hospital that could treat me. Yeah, and so this is an important aspect. Why would a parent want to raise their child in a community where there's no health care? So we need to create opportunities and to safeguard our communities, and this is something I've been working on.
Great. Well, it is really awesome to see how these amazing young leaders are challenging working in their communities, but also meeting globally, constructing in a global network, and challenging also the global issues of the youth in the world, which is kind of amazing. Me as an activist, I also had this big struggle about being local and have a grassroots job, but also connecting with the world. It takes a lot of time. How do you get that energy? Where that energy come from?
Thank you. Well, yeah, it is a challenge. I have to be honest. I mean, it's a great year for the Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. As Victor mentioned, we are celebrating our 10th anniversary as a working group in the permanent forum, and I think that at some point we don't really have an option. I mean. We face so many challenges at the local level, and someone needs to take action. And we don't do it, I mean, we're not separate from the struggles that our elders do. We don't want to do that. We echo the struggles that they do, we learn from them, and we want to work with them. And this is also something very key for us. And this is, yeah, as I mentioned, it's for us, for the realities that we face. It's basically, we don't have an option. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We want to echo the history, the struggles of all elders, and we want to overcome the situation, the discrimination, the poverty that we face. And if we don't do it, nobody is going to do it. So at some point, again, we don't really have an option. We have to do it. And yes, I mean, and the other thing that is amazing, the Youth Caucus, is that all the energy that we put, I mean, this is mostly voluntary work. We need to get some fundings, have some jobs. Many of us are studying as students, and etc. And it's voluntary. It's voluntary work. We work late. We need to make the time. We need to be connected with our locals at the regional level. It takes a lot of time, and I'm so happy to have this great group of Indigenous youth in each region. You imagine how we met? I remember there were meetings when our colleagues from Africa, it was 2 a.m. in the morning. For I was 11 p.m. So the time doesn't help. But again, I think is that we were able to realize and what are our challenges that our parents live. And once we were able to realize that, we take a decision that we need to change that situation. And the only way to change that situation is we are active on this. So I think everyone has that in their heart, and this is what pushes us to move forward.
For you, Nivi?
Well, my first start was coffee. But yes, we get a lot of energy from each other. But again, when you're at home in your own region, with your own community, it can get a little bit disheartening because you work so hard and sometimes it takes so long to see change. It's a really long process. To get that feeling of hope again, you just look at each other, and I felt so empowered when I met all of these young other indigenous people who were working hard, being volunteers as well, and I think that's what gets you through, like the inspiration you get from other people, not only youth but also our elders who have been doing this for like 50 plus years, like sometimes like centuries, that have kept fighting and are still not giving up, and that's very inspirational.
Thank you. And Victor, for you?
Yeah, I would go as far as to say, just like Nivi said, that the elders were a big part of this. They were here, and it was really inspiring for me the first time I came to learn about everything they had to go through just for us to get in this room. So in the 1920s, during the League of Nations, we had 2 chiefs coming from the United States as well as New Zealand on their own accord to the League of Nations, and because they heard about this meeting with nations around the world, and they said we're nations as well. So they got tickets and they ended up there, and they didn't even let them into the building, the UN building, not even in where the gift shops are, and none of this. So the fact that we're sitting in this room, we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go, and this is something that inspired me to get involved in this movement. And I know that we need people on the ground, we need people in our communities, and we also need people within these systems to. We need both. A lot of people say, in my opinion, that don't participate in this. Let's do a groundwork movement, and I agree. We need groundwork. We need protests. We need to fight for our rights on the ground. That's very important. But these people are going to make decisions that affect our livelihoods at these types of meetings, and we need to have a voice here too. And it's something that I'd say the Global Indigenous Youth Caucus has been trying to achieve, where we implement youth voices in these discussions, because oftentimes youth are left out of developing priorities for our nations, even though we're the ones that are going to inherit those decisions. And this is very important for us to be here, for the global indigenous youth to be able to determine our own priorities and have a stake in those discussions.
Thank you, Victor. It has been really amazing to hear where do you get your energy from, and the struggles that also you represent, and how it is connected with this long history of indigenous resistance, struggling, and also bringing hope to humanity, to say there's another way to live, there's another way to solution the big problems and issues we have. So how we can join this global caucus? What can any young leader and any young activist that is watching us right now can have more information, where they get engaged, and how can find a focal point in their own communities and their countries?
All right, thank you. Yeah, the work that we do is we have the co-chairs to work at the global level, but their only role is to facilitate communication. The focal points are here the main actor, because according to each region, we may have at least 2, but we could have 3, 4. It really depends on the region, and they do the work. They do all the connection. They belong to indigenous youth or indigenous organization, and they connect all the struggles to the global level. We have a Facebook page. Actually, it's the most efficient way we could contact with people. We receive messages, we tweet messages, but the Facebook page is I think the most easy way to engage with us. Yeah, I think also it would be important to post the nominations so people would know who are the focal points, and maybe the email. And yeah, you just take a look to our website, please, to the page, and yeah, you will see the email of your focal points and just contact with him. I'm pretty sure they will be happy to engage every youth that is there to work with us. I mean, it's quite open. We meet a Sunday before the session, and everyone is welcome. Actually, we do our best to try to get the information out there so they could come to the session and be ready. Coming to the permanent forum, it could be overwhelming. There is a lot in the agenda. There is a lot to work. We need to also try to manage the UN languages, be diplomatic and stuff. And this is something that we kind of try to propose in our meetings. So yes, please visit our Facebook page. I think that's the most efficient way, and you will see there the name of your focal points, and please contact them. They will be happy to get you on board.
Okay, that's amazing. So we're inviting you, if you are watching and going to your Facebook right now, put Global Indigenous Caucus, and you can get engaged with this amazing group and have more information about their amazing jobs. So, Victor.
I'd also like to say that soon we'll actually have our own website. So this is very important for us that we have this website, and we'll be able to publish who the focal points are, who they can contact, and hopefully, I mean, it's also... We want to reach the youth who maybe don't have Facebook, don't have these things. So the website's very important. But also to reach the youth who don't even have access to a computer, we have our networks as well, which is really important for us. You know, we have people in community who can go in there, and we're still developing our network. But as we expand more and more, I mean, we have 100 Indigenous youth here today. Imagine how many youth they know. That's a very important networking tool for us as well, that they go into a community and spread the word, and then the next year we'll have more youth coming.
Nivi, and for like the amazing young leaders that are part of the initiatives, like, do you want to say a word for like the girls that are struggling in their communities?
I know that that for youth and for women, we are the ones that are the most marginalized, and we have an obligation to be the voice of all of the other Indigenous women, young women out there who are struggling and who can't maybe articulate their pain or their suffering, and we need to be able to translate it in recommendations and statements that can help them. And we have experienced many times where we get young people that come to us and come with stories of things that they have experienced, and then we have to put them into statements. And it can be a little bit difficult to do that, but we do it because we want to, and it's very empowering as an Indigenous woman to be able to do that, to be able to put it into words, and put it into words in such a way that people has to hear us, that we are not invisible, that we are here, and we will always be here, because we are the mothers, and we are the ones that will keep our communities alive in the end.
Thank you very much. So I think the time is ending. I'm not sure. Someone can tell us. Yeah, so thank you for watching this. I am really happy and glad to be part of this amazing initiative and being invited to host this conversation with these amazing leaders. And I'm inviting you, especially the youth that are watching us, to engage, to be really courageous and take action, to go to your community, to find your local points, and also to see that not just the development needs to be sustainable, also the struggles and also the hope for the better world. Thank you for watching.